Thompson, Baylor Radio, former Baylor and NFL wide receiver with us, 365 Sports. Ricky, they have a bye week. They are right now. They basically any way they can make a mess they have, even when there are spurts of good. How important would you want a bye week this week, or would you want to get back out and play?
I'd want to play. I just think, particularly when you're on a skid like we are of 3 in a row, I think you need to play. It's a long 2 weeks. The only positive that could come out of it, in my view, is maybe you get some guys healthy, spend a week, give these guys a couple of days off, see what that does to their mind, their health, take advantage of it. But just personally, as a player, I'd rather play.
Ricky, we were talking about it yesterday on the show, and from a lot of perspective, I think a lot of coaching could be done better, but I think the coaching has been pretty good. Are they just hitting the wall on talent right now compared to the people they're playing?
Man, it's hard to say, but that would be hard to argue against that. I just think that we've seen guys that have been against us make plays they needed to make to win. I think you've seen some adjustments defensively that we've made that has enabled us to stop some teams in the second half, with the exception of last week. And I thought Iowa State just crushed us with their offense going against our defense in the second half. Particularly, we couldn't stop anything. But yeah, I think it's some of all of that, Paul. I think there is a talent gap there, and this may be hard to measure, and it may be a sign of really what it was like last year, because I think we're better, and we're still 2-4, and it's not looking that good, and yet I think we're better than we were last year talent wise. So maybe there's a gap there that we really didn't see, because one way or the other, it's players that make plays that win football games, and coaches can put you in a position to do it. And there's obviously some things coaching-wise that you could do better. There's some things that on the players' end we could do better. But, yeah, I think it's fairly obvious that there is some talent gap there.
How about this, that the talent's pretty even across the league, especially with no Oklahoma and Texas, but they don't have any of those dogs, those Corey Coleman guys. Those are the types we're missing. The coaching's it's good occasions. You can pinpoint bad things. Basically, the execution, right, Ricky? Like, that's what it ultimately comes down to, is not having a blocked field goal return for a touchdown, or catching the wide-open touchdown pass as opposed to dropping it. Or it's just like there's little execution misses that seem to add up and really hurt this team at all the inopportune times.
Yeah, and you know what? Some of those are bigger than others, but just little things. And I think, bless Sawyer's heart, I think he's had to play a lot on his own. I don't mean on his own. I mean with the fact that we've had no running game. He's got guys around him that are playing, and I thought we did a pretty good job of protecting him. I don't think that the rush really hurt us Saturday, but absolutely no running game again. Sawyer's been the primary guy to run the ball too. But, you know, decision-making, I thought the interception Sawyer threw in the end zone, and I know exactly what he was doing. He was trying to make a play. I know Monterey was open early if the ball was delivered a little earlier, but I think maybe he could have run for that first down. Sometimes it's just decision-making, and you've got to take what's there, get the first down, go to the next play. I know why he was trying that, because if you remember earlier in that quarter, on a fourth down, he rolls to the right and wide open, Ketron Jackson for a touchdown. So I understand what he was trying to do. The other thing, Craig, I think when you get into this point, you start pressing and you start trying to make plays that aren't there. And that's, again, what I'm saying. Sometimes you just have to take what's there. And it's so hard to do. And I'm just telling you, when you get in this cycle of losing football games, it is hard to get out of it.
Go ahead, Craig.
Segment brought to you by Richard Carr Motors, Baylor Bear Hotline. And we got Ricky Thompson here with us. And, Ricky, we got people from all over the Big 12 that listen, so I know we're going to focus mostly on Baylor, but I also wanted to while I was thinking about it, get your thoughts. What did you think of Iowa State? How good do you think they are in the big picture?
I was surprised. Not that I didn't think they were pretty good, but they were better than I thought. And I think with the way this crazy league is, I think they've got a shot. I really do. I think they've got a shot to win this thing. If they continue to get better like they are, I thought they really played well. They're really sound up front defensively. Small victories, and it's not a victory, but 21 points is the most they've allowed all season. That tells you something about that defense that Iowa State puts on the field, and I was really impressed. I don't think they have any absolute stars offensively, but they're very, very sound. Made good plays, back protected the ball, got it to his receivers that could make plays. The number 12, little Jackson kid, they put in late in the game after we were tired, ate our lunch. He was really quick, had speed about him. We just couldn't get a handle on him at all. And I thought that was one of the differences in the ball game, the second half, the way they ended up running the football. So I think they've got a shot. This league is so even, which really makes it a little more disappointing to me, in that just a sound, good football team, any of them have a shot to win this thing this year.
Ricky, you mentioned how hard it is to get out of the funk. So when you don't catch the touchdown pass, when you don't, when you get the field goal blocked and all those things, is it just crushing their souls right now that they get in this here we go again thing, and it's a confidence problem more than anything?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And that's where it comes back. What I've mentioned before is when a play has to be made, somebody's got to make it. Somebody's got to get tough enough to make a play, make a tough catch, make a run, break a tackle, pick up a first down that maybe you didn't think you might pick up, and get things rolling, and then make stops on the other side of the football. I just think it still comes down to guys making plays. And I just think when you lack that confidence, it's even harder to do it. It may cause you to, on a deep ball, let up a step and the ball goes over you 6 inches, or you're running a route across the middle and you see a flash across the face, you let up, or a quarterback's not patient and delivers the ball late. Offensive lineman misses a block, or you miss a tackle. And I think, guys, we've got a combination of all that, I think. And that's what makes it really difficult. And I know I said earlier, I think we're better, and I do think we're better than we are last year, but it doesn't matter if you're not winning games.
Yeah, there at least are spurts of that get maybe a fan, if they're watching, maybe a little bit of their adrenaline, but then there's the block punt. Then there's the block field goal against Utah on the road. It just seems, when you're not any good, as far as your record, there are certain plays that seem like, and even though Baylor came back and scored on their opening drive to start the second half, the block punt, when I saw that, I was like, okay, there we go. Even though they came back and actually took the lead, it just seemed like they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah, and a block punt is a lot tougher. You mentioned that, and I do think that lingers. I think it's different when a team hits a big play and scores with their offense on the field. But an interception, a pick six, a block kick for a touchdown, a kickoff return for a touchdown, those are game changers, because those are areas where you're not dependent on points. You just want to make sound plays on those particular special teams plays. But when you score touchdowns, it's a killer. And that block punt couldn't have come at a worse time, because I thought at that point we'd really dominated the football game and we're in great shape. And you give up a touchdown like that, it's just so disheartening. And I think that was a game changer. Even though we came back in the second half and went ahead briefly, I just think those things linger when you've got a team that's not playing well and not winning football games and has a losing streak like we do. Those doubts creep in, and it's tough to overcome it. And I'll tell you, that's a tough place to play.
Yep.
We've been at Colorado, at Iowa State, packed houses, and generally, particularly at Colorado, I thought we played pretty well most all the football game, with the exception of one play toward the end that really cost us. But Iowa State late with that home crowd just took over. So I I don't know. We've got to find something or somebody that's going to make that play. And I'll tell you what, going to Lubbock next week is not going to be easy. McGuire's got them playing. They're 5-1. I'm thankful it's a 3:00 kickoff and not 6:30 or 7. I think that does make a difference that night on the road.
I do know this, that Texas Tech, they don't like Baylor. Baylor's kind of been able to have their runs here in the last 10 or 15 years, and Tech has not. We know it's been a long drought for them, but boy, you do know that they're geeked up. That fan base, the stadium's gotten big and strong, a lot of people, so that'll be interesting to watch. Joey probably is hoping that Baylor continues to have one good half and one bad half, although they could win the game no matter what. To the team, as far as when they were down 21-0, 28-7 against BYU, a team that did not like or feel good with their coach would have probably lost that game 54-10. A team that didn't like their coach probably doesn't jump out to a nice lead against Iowa State. That's one thing to say it, but it does seem like they're still locked in. But if they lose another one, can you see this thing going off the rails as if it's not already?
Yeah, that's possible. It sure is. I mean, losing breeds a lot of bad stuff. It just does. And that comes with both attitudes, coaches, and players. And to your point, the BYU game, that could have very easily been 50-0. I mean, it looked like a 50-0 game. And for the fact that they had a chance to win that game on 2 different drives in the fourth quarter, they didn't do it, but they had the shot, and they got back in that game. Colorado obviously had every chance in the world to win that game on the road. You just wonder, does that stop? When does that end? When do you get to the point where maybe it's 4 or 5 losses in a row? Then that's going to be a real test, guys, if we do that. So somewhere in there, and we've been saying this for 3 weeks, you've got to get a win, whether it may be Texas Tech, whether it's Oklahoma State the next week. You better win one of those. If not, you're 2-6, and then that's a problem.
Yeah, I don't know what the stat is, and I brought up the block punt. Ricky, thanks for your time as always and what you do to be a part of this, and also with Alliance Bank. But if you get a punt blocked, I don't know what the exact number is, but I would bet it's catastrophic when it comes to wins and losses. Don't you think?
I do, because I think that's even different than a punt return for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something that shouldn't happen. I mean, it's hard to get to a punter, even if there's nobody blocking. It's hard to get there in time. If there's a good snap and a good punt, 3 steps gone, it's hard to get there, much less running through blockers. And that was a combination of a low snap. I think maybe it could have been caught and punted away, but you punt that ball away, you're up. You never know.
Yeah.
You may go down and create a turnover on the other end. So, and it takes a while to recover from that. I just think it does. So those special teams plays like that, particularly block kicks for touchdown, the block field goal against Utah, we saw that. What a killer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's of all things you don't expect a field goal return for 6.
By the way, there was a story back in 2010. I'll say this while you're still with us. 90% of games in which a punt is blocked, the team that makes the block wins the game.
Well, I'm not all that surprised.
Yeah.
I didn't know it'd be quite that high, but it's not shocking at all.
That's from an article. That's from a while back. That's 15 years ago, but I don't think that trend probably changes. Ricky, thank you very much. Ricky Thompson, Baylor Radio Sideline Analyst with us on 365 Sports. 90% of the time.